and pull that out. That's if you don't want to store the state inside of the Cucumber running environment. So when I get the path, essentially the next step would be to verify it. And those steps we've already seen. I want to ensure that the body represents the card, and I want to ensure the response was 200. Again, you can see all of this if you go into the app and take a look at it. So I'm not going to go through too much of the details there. So I punted before on the verification of the response data, and I said, well, all I want to do is check that if I convert the last thing to a JSON string, that it matches the response I got back. But I mentioned that there are a couple of projects that you could use potentially to actually dig into that response object and verify that it contains the data that you expect it to contain. So you could do like a deeper analysis of it. These are two of the projects. One is JSON's. You can go look at these later on GitHub, and the slides will all be up online as well. And they're actually included in the test project. So in the case of JSON spec, actually, in the case, what I'm going to show you is just the one from JSON select, because that's the one that I use in the project. But JSON spec has basically a bunch of things to say, this should equal this JSON, or it should include this JSON, or it should include this JSON path, essentially. In the case of JSON select, it's kind of a little bit more interesting. It uses CSS style selectors to dig into the JSON object. So I broke this down into multiple lines so it's easier to read. Parse that last response body, and then call JSON select and try to match on the first name. All right, so it uses first name as actually the key name there, and it uses the dot notation as in CSS. The JSON select project is another one that's language agnostic. So there is a Ruby implementation, but the cool thing is there's actually other implementations as well. I think this is a neat direction because one, it uses a syntax that a lot of us are already comfortable with, developing web applications.